and water. All right, here we go. All right, so we are going to factor out a GCF. So what we did with prime factorizations and GCFs on page 9 is basically the exact same thing like page 10. Only on page 10, we've got a plus in between. Instead of saying this and this, what is the GCF? Now we're actually going to have some parentheses. So the first thing you have to do is find the GCF.
Doesn't your calculator use
It can if you divide it. I don't think it does it like automatically, but if you divide your answers, you can do it. So the first thing is to find your GCF, and then after you find your GCF, you divide every term by the GCF. So this is where multiplication skills are going to come in very, very handy here. So we have to be able to look at a set of numbers with exponents and be able to decide, okay, this is the greatest common factor that divides evenly into these numbers. So let's look at our first example. We have 15x to the third plus 3x squared. What is our GCF? Is 3 is the biggest number that would go into 15 and 3. Do we agree?
Yes.
Okay. So the way that we write this is we're going to put this 3 here. Can I take out any x values?
Yes.
How many? 2. So x squared. Now on the other page, we stopped because it was just comparing two numbers. It had the word and instead of plus. Since it's plus, we have information that's left. So all you have to do, we found our GCF as 3x squared. Then you divide the GCF by all the other numbers. So what's 15 divided by 3? 5. So we are left with 5. How many x's are left here? Just 1. So we just write x. You can write x to the first if you want, but you don't have to. What do we put after this with the plus 3x squared?
1.
Plus 1. Remember, we're basically undistributing at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So all we're doing is pulling out the greatest common factor, and since there's a plus sign here, we have to group it in parentheses with a plus sign. Because if you're unsure if you did it right, you can always test your answer by redistributing. So 3 times 5 is 15, x squared times x is x cubed, plus 3x squared. It should always get you back to where you started. That lets you know if you did it right. Also, you can look inside of the parentheses to see if you can simplify any more. So from here, if I look here and I have a 5 and a 1, there is no common factor between them. So always check inside because the smaller the number gets, the easier it kind of is. So if we were left with a 5 and 10, you could pull out a 5. Caleb, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason we put a 1 here is because I have to make sure that this term doesn't get lost. Even though it's gone, I still have to multiply it. All right, so try example 2. Look for the greatest common factor and pull out the GCF. What is our GCF of 125 and 75? 25 is the biggest number. Can I bring any variables out?
X squared.
X squared. Now, the thing you want to remember, you can't pull out more than what's inside of the parentheses. So like, even though I have y to the third here, there's not a y to the third in this piece. So I can't pull that out. So it's 125 divided by 25. Okay? What's left?
Y third.
Y third plus
3.
plus 3. Remember, you can always check yourself. So 25 times 5, again, 125. Then x times nothing, x squared, y cubed. 25 times 3, 75, x squared, and it takes you right back.
That's 40.
Another thing that you need to practice, always just pay attention to what you're doing. So right here, check to make sure what's left can't be simplified anymore. So 3 and 5 have no common factors, so you know that you're finished. So if you're rusty on your multiplication, just check inside of the parentheses. All right, what is a factorial? Thank you. What is the factorial? It looks like this. Is exclamation point. It is an exclamation point. What does that exclamation point do?
Okay.
Yeah, you yell it. 5. So a factorial is the product. So product means multiply. The product of an integer and all the integers below it. You better look back on page 1. Integers have no decimals, things like that. Here, I will read you the exact definition.
Wait, what does it say?
Integers can be negative, 0, or positive, just numbers that are not decimals. Okay.
What does that say again?
The product of an integer and all the integers below it
Oh,
such that x is greater than 0. So what this means is when we do factorials, we stop at 1. Even though integers can go negative, these are just basically numbers that are not decimals. Yes, Ashton, I am. I need to scan it, but it will be uploaded during third period. Okay, so 5 factorial is not me screaming 5 at you. It just means 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Oh, yeah.
I never remember arguing this, but
It's okay.
that makes sense.
That's why this class is so great, because
by 0?
no, so x has to be greater than 0, so the number in front of the factorial, you just stop at 1. No.
Negative is something, negative something, right?
No.
Okay.
So what is 5 factorial? What does that equal? 5 times 120.
Man, you did that fast, bro.
What did you just say?
I multiply 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And you get 120. I'm going to show you how to find it on the calculator. If you've already kind of followed these little calculators, that will help. All right, what's 0 factorial? 1. This is one that you're going to forget. You're going to be like, oh, it's 0. It's 1. 0 factorial is 1. I will Google the answer because honestly, I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, like,
So it'd be like 3 times 2 times 3.
Yes, so to do this one, 3 factorial, 3 times 2 times 1, plus 5 factorial, which is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Or you already know it's 120.
No, it's definitely not. It's 127.
No, you added them by accident. It's okay. All right, so let's practice finding it on a calculator because no one has time to type 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Okay, there's a button for it on the calculator. So let's go ahead and practice. Let me pull up my calculator. So let's do 6 factorial. So the first thing we're going to do right here is, so let's type in a 6. And then what you're going to do on your calculator is the first thing you go to is you press this math button that's located right here, and it's going to pull it up here. So you're going to type the number. So in this example, we want to do 6 factorial. Okay? The first thing you have to do is type the number in. Then we have to get to the factorial button. So you press math, and then you're going to arrow over to probability, PRB. Probability. And then you're going to select option 4. Then you're going to press enter. And I'll write all these steps down. And what that's going to do is it's going to insert the factorial button. So all you're going to do is you type the number, you press math, go over to probability, which on mine it says PROB. I think on the older ones it just says PRB. It's probability. Okay. Then from probability, you select option 4, which is the factorial, and then you press enter. So again, just realized what that is. Not all on the screen. So all you're going to do from here, math, arrow over to probability, option 4, enter, 720. So 6 factorial is 720. Now, you can also do the problem that we did up here. You can do 3 factorial, plus 5 factorial, and it'll give you 126. So you can do them. When you do the factorials, though, you don't need parentheses, so just keep that in mind. The only time you want parentheses is if you're doing it the longer method. How do we feel?
Great.
Feeling good? Okay, I'm going to give you GCF practice. So online, guys, that is located underneath the classwork tab. And you can work from there. I just saw a chat. Let me see. I think I already answered it. I did. Okay. Yes. I will put the worksheet up during third. So your work is underneath classwork. It's GCF practice. We have about 20 minutes or so left of class, so just get as far as you can. I'm pushing your test back to Thursday. So your test will be Thursday, 60 multiple choice questions. Okay?
What are we doing tomorrow?
We're going to finish GCF practice and do these catch-all problems, and they'll take a majority of the class. It's okay.
Yes.
It's okay. So McKenna, for the ACT, they're asking that you come in person to